Imagine you're walking down the street and suddenly find a 50-euro bill on the ground. How would you feel? Probably pretty good. Maybe even excited. Now imagine something different. You open your wallet and realize you've lost a 50-euro bill that was already yours. Same amount of money, 50 euros. But for most people, the pain of losing that money feels much stronger than the joy of finding it. Why? Welcome to one of the most powerful psychological biases shaping our decisions every day: loss aversion. Loss aversion is the tendency for people to prefer avoiding losses rather than acquiring equivalent gains. In simple terms, losing something hurts more than gaining the same thing feels good. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, pioneers in behavioral economics, discovered that the emotional impact of a loss can be roughly twice as powerful as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. Think about that for a moment. Winning 100 euros feels nice. Losing 100 euros feels awful. And that imbalance affects far more than just our finances. It influences our relationships, careers, investments, shopping habits, and even our daily routines. Let's look at a common example. Imagine you're considering switching jobs. The new position offers better pay, more flexibility, and stronger long-term opportunities. Logically, it sounds like a great move, but many people hesitate. Why? Because they focus on what they might lose. The familiarity of their current workplace, relationships with co-workers, the comfort of a known routine. Even when the potential benefits clearly outweigh the risks, the fear of losing what they already have often keeps them stuck. Loss aversion can make us cling to situations that no longer serve us simply because change feels like a loss. The same thing happens in investing. Many investors refuse to sell losing stocks because selling would make the loss feel real. Instead, they hold on to declining investments, hoping the price will recover. Ironically, this desire to avoid a loss can sometimes lead to even bigger losses later. Professional investors are well aware of this bias because it repeatedly appears in financial markets around the world. But loss aversion doesn't stop there. Retail stores use it all the time. Have you ever noticed free trial offers? Try it free for 30 days. At first glance, it seems like a way to gain something. But psychologically, something interesting happens. Once you've used the product for a month, it starts to feel like it belongs to you. When the trial ends, giving it up feels like losing something, rather than simply deciding not to buy it. That's why free trials can be so effective. They transform a future purchase decision into a potential loss. And people hate losses. Loss aversion even affects our personal relationships. Sometimes people stay in unhealthy friendships or romantic relationships because ending them means losing years of emotional investment. The future may offer better possibilities, but the thought of giving up what already exists can feel overwhelming. This is closely related to another psychological phenomenon known as the sunk cost fallacy, where people continue investing time, money, or effort into something simply because they've already invested so much. The fear of loss keeps them moving in the wrong direction. From an evolutionary perspective, loss aversion actually makes sense. For our ancestors, losing resources could be dangerous. Losing food, shelter, or social status might have threatened survival itself. Meanwhile, gaining additional resources was helpful, but often not as urgent. As a result, human brains evolved to pay extra attention to potential losses. The problem is that modern life is very different from the environments our ancestors faced. Today, that same instinct can sometimes work against us. It can make us avoid opportunities, resist necessary changes, or make overly cautious decisions. So how can we protect ourselves from loss aversion. The first step is awareness. Whenever you're making an important decision, ask yourself a simple question. Am I avoiding this choice because it's truly a bad idea, or because I'm afraid of losing something? That small shift in perspective can be incredibly powerful. Another useful strategy is to focus on long-term outcomes instead of short-term emotions. Instead of asking, "What might I lose today?" ask, "Where will this decision put me a year from now?" Finally, try reframing the situation. If you're considering a positive change, think about what you might lose by doing nothing. Sometimes staying exactly where you are carries its own hidden costs. Opportunities missed, skills never developed, dreams left unexplored. In many cases, the biggest loss isn't taking a risk. It's never taking the chance at all. So the next time you find yourself holding onto something simply because you're afraid of losing it, remember, your brain is doing what it evolved to do. But understanding loss aversion gives you the power to pause, think critically, and make decisions based on reality rather than fear. Because sometimes the greatest gains in life begin with letting go of what you're afraid to lose. And that may be the most valuable lesson loss aversion has to teach us. If you like this content and you want to further explore behavioral biases, click that subscribe button and join us on this channel. We can explore our minds together. Cheers.